You thought it was over, didn't you? That when they blocked your number, silenced your presence, erased your photos, and cut off communication like you were nothing but a name to be deleted, the connection you once shared evaporated into nothingness. But I, Archangel Michael, come to whisper a truth that has been hidden in the silence, a message veiled in the quiet of the night when your name echoes across realms they cannot explain and yet cannot escape. Because despite what they've done to hide it, they are still dreaming about you, still haunted by the spiritual thread that binds your story to theirs in ways they didn't anticipate. And even though they turned their back on you, trying to convince the world, and perhaps even themselves, that you were forgettable, they are learning that the soul does not forget what heaven once assigned. And every time they close their eyes, the very memory they tried to bury rises like a flame flickering in the shadows of their sleep, burning softly but persistently, refusing to be extinguished by distance, denial, or pride. And these dreams are not mere imaginations, but sacred echoes, visitations from the realm where truth cannot be ignored, where their heart is forced to confront what their ego is still too afraid to say. That you mattered more than they admitted, that they walked away not because you weren't enough, but because you reflected parts of them they weren't ready to face, that your light exposed their hidden wounds, and their spirit, instead of being repelled, now longs for what it once rejected. And they are waking up in cold sweats with your voice ringing in their ears, seeing your smile in crowds that don't know your name, feeling your energy at 2:11 a.m. when nothing in the room explains why their heart is racing except for the pull of a soul tie they thought time could dissolve. And I tell you now, this is no accident. This is the unraveling of what was never properly closed. The divine disturbance that heaven allows when a spiritual contract was broken without closure. And though they've moved on in appearance, perhaps even started new relationships, posted new pictures, and smiled for new chapters, their dreams are exposing what their pride won't. Your presence has become a sacred ghost in their subconscious, a mirror that returns night after night to show them what they lost when they walked away. And each time they dream of you, the message becomes more clear. This wasn't just a casual connection. This was spiritual alignment, interrupted by fear, by wounds, by the baggage they never unpacked. And now that space they carved without you has grown into a silence too loud to ignore. And their soul is aching for answers, longing for a reunion they can't admit to anyone else, because what they feel is deeper than romantic regret. It is spiritual recognition, the awareness that they blocked not just a person, but a piece of their divine assignment. And while they scroll through memories they can't delete, replaying the words you said and the warmth you gave so freely, they're also realizing that your departure didn't bring them peace. It brought an emptiness they cannot explain. And now, in the quiet moments when their mask falls away, they're wrestling with the very same questions you once did. What if we weren't finished? What if there was more? And the truth is, their soul is trying to reach you, to whisper what their mouth never could, to say I'm sorry without words, to ask, are you still there, without the courage to call. And heaven is watching this unfold because it is not just about a broken bond. It's about the divine awakening that is happening within both of you. And you, the one who is blocked, are being shown these signs for a reason. You are not crazy. You are not imagining it. Your dreams of them are not random. They are mirrored in the spiritual realm, where they too are seeing you, hearing you, dreaming you, because what was started in spirit cannot be severed in flesh. And Archangel Michael tells you this now, so you may walk forward not in desperation, but in dignity, understanding that even though you were rejected outwardly, heaven never allowed your connection to be erased. And what they are dreaming is only the beginning of what they must face. For the truth will rise, and what was once broken may yet be restored. But whether they return or not, know this: you were never the one who was forgettable. You were the one whose presence left an imprint even the unconscious mind cannot delete. And your value is not measured by their silence, but by the way heaven refuses to let them sleep in peace until they reckon with the magnitude of what your spirit carried. They may have silenced you with a swift act, hitting block like it was the end of a sentence. But what they didn't realize is that while they could disconnect from the device, they could not disconnect from the divine imprint your soul left on theirs. And now, as Archangel Michael watches over the spiritual unfolding behind their hardened facade, I tell you plainly, their decision to walk away didn't sever the truth. It only buried it beneath layers of denial. And that denial is beginning to unravel, not through daytime confessions, but in nighttime battles, as they toss and turn with flashes of memories they cannot silence. Conversations that repeat like prayers they never understood, and dreams that pull them back to moments they pretended to forget. Moments that felt like eternity cradled in human form. Moments when your love reflected a version of themselves they didn't believe they deserved. And so they ran, thinking distance would dilute the depth, but instead, distance has deepened the longing. And now, each dream comes with sharper clarity, not because you changed, but because now they are beginning to see what their pride once blinded them to. And as they sleep, their soul enters the realm of truth where their walls crumble and their heart speaks freely, where they whisper your name without shame and remember the way your energy felt like home. And they see you, sometimes older, sometimes crying, sometimes standing strong in places they've never been, yet always, always familiar. And they wake up searching their phone, wondering if you've called, checking messages they know won't be there, haunted not by your absence, but by their own choices, and they feel it. The heavy spiritual echo that they blocked not to forget you, but to escape the guilt of knowing they weren't ready for the love you gave so freely. And the spiritual realm is not letting them escape that mirror, not letting them run from the consequences of emotional avoidance dressed up as control. And what they are dreaming is not fiction. It is prophetic. It is their spirit screaming through sleep what they have not had the courage to confess aloud. And these dreams are becoming more frequent, more vivid, and more urgent, not because of you chasing them, but because heaven is chasing them with the truth. And the truth is, they knew deep down you were different, sacred, sent, but it was easier to pretend you were ordinary than to rise into the kind of healing your love required of them. And now that they've tasted the emptiness of every shallow connection since, now that they've tried to replace what was spiritually ordained with what is emotionally convenient, they're beginning to collapse inward, realizing that their peace left with you. And the reason you keep feeling their energy at random times, the reason you dream of them even after you try to release them, is because in the spiritual realm, they are reaching for you. They're calling to you without voice, writing apologies into the fabric of the night sky, hoping you'll feel it, hoping you'll understand that what they didn't say doesn't mean they didn't feel it. And though they act indifferent, Though their feed shows a curated life, though their words to others might even mock or dismiss you, the truth is far more complex. They're breaking internally, dreaming externally, and living in a purgatory of silent regret, praying that the one they blocked will somehow understand without them having to. Say it. And Archangel Michael says this now, not to rekindle your heartbreak, but to awaken your discernment, because their spiritual unrest is not your responsibility to fix. It is their soul's journey to face. And your purpose is not to wait for their awakening, but to rise into your own, knowing that just because they're still dreaming of you does not mean they are ready to hold the weight of your presence in waking life. And you must be wise, child of light, for not every dream is an invitation. Some are just confirmations that your spirit was too strong to be forgotten. And heaven is revealing this to remind you that you were never abandoned by the divine. You were protected from a path not ready to carry the full radiance of your calling. And though they still dream, you are now rising, healing, evolving, and perhaps one day they will awaken fully and step forward in truth. But until then, do not mistake their dreaming for a sign to return. Take it instead as evidence that your love was never small, never misplaced, never lost. It was a light bright enough to leave echoes in eternity. And though you have walked through seasons where their silence screamed louder than words, where the absence of closure became its own kind of torment, know this. The spiritual connection between souls does not yield to earthly rejection. And I, Archangel Michael, reveal to you that while you were weeping over unanswered questions, they were wrestling with unanswered dreams, visions of you that refused to fade, even after they convinced themselves you were just a chapter to be closed, because what heaven joined in spirit cannot be severed by ego. And what was once a sanctuary of mutual light became, for them, a mirror too bright to endure. And so they did what many broken hearts do when faced with something sacred. They ran, they blocked, they tried to forget. Yet at night, when their defenses dissolve and the noise of the world grows quiet, the truth rises like incense in their soul. And your voice echoes in a place deeper than memory, calling them back not just to who you were, but to who they were when they were with you. And though they try to reason away the dreams, telling themselves it's just nostalgia or just their subconscious playing tricks, the spirit knows better. And I, the one who stands between the realms of war and revelation, tell you that what they're experiencing is divine interference, not by punishment, but by mercy, because heaven is trying to show them that no connection rooted in purpose can be ghosted away. And now, these dreams are growing more vivid, more symbolic. Your presence appears with glowing hands, speaking messages they don't fully understand. Sometimes crying, sometimes smiling, sometimes walking away as they scream for you to come back. And it's in these images they are beginning to realize. Your role in their life was never ordinary. You were a soul-activated appointment, sent to awaken a version of them buried beneath fear, trauma, and pride. And now, stripped of your presence, they are left to wrestle with the fragments of who they were with you, because you saw them when they were pretending, you believed in them when they were broken, you poured light into their darkness, and instead of rising with you, they recoiled, not because they didn't care, but because they didn't know how to receive love that didn't require performance. And so they chose the illusion of control over the vulnerability of transformation, but the soul does not lie. And now their dreams are their reckoning, their subconscious begging for a second chance, their spirit whispering, "What if?" with every beat of the night. And in this divine exposure, heaven is not only bringing their heart back to awareness, it is showing you your value from a higher vantage point, reminding you that you were never the abandoned. You were the catalyst, the mirror, the divine mirror they didn't know they needed. And now that you've gone silent, now that you've stopped reaching out, they feel the weight of what they try to discard, and the ache is spiritual, not sentimental. It is the soul screaming for what the mouth is still too proud to say, and each dream leaves residue on their skin. Each message from the spirit realm disrupts their peace, not to punish, but to purge the illusions that told them they were better off without you. And some of these dreams are not just memories, but premonitions, glimpses of the life they could have had if they chose growth over fear. And now they are chasing shadows, watching others try to love them, like you did, hoping to feel something that matches what you once gave freely, only to discover that the love they try to forget was the love that was meant to transform them. And though they pretend to be unbothered, their spirit is a battlefield, haunted by the image of you thriving without them, becoming stronger, wiser, softer in your power, and they cannot reconcile how someone they blocked still lingers so powerfully in their dreams. And I tell you, do not doubt what you feel when you wake up with their name in your mind, when you sense their energy pulling at your consciousness, because their soul is seeking you, even when their actions don't. And this connection is not coincidence. It's divine strategy, a reminder from the heavens that your light was never in vain. And now, while they struggle to articulate what their dreams are showing, you are being elevated into deeper clarity, because you no longer need their apology to validate your worth. And the truth is, they see you now, not on their screen, but in their spirit, in the silence that swells between every attempt to move on, in the dreams that replay like messages from God. And though they may never say it aloud, the truth is already written in their spirit. They blocked you, but they still see you, they still need you, they still dream of you, because your soul was the place where there's first felt safe. And now comes the most sacred revelation of all, child of light. What they tried to erase in this realm has become an undeniable truth in the realm beyond sight, because no block, no silence, no absence of communication can sever the cords that heaven tied in spirit. And I, Archangel Michael, the guardian of divine truth and revelation, am here to confirm what you've been sensing all along but were afraid to believe. Their soul has never stopped reaching for yours, not for a single night, not for a single breath. And though they have rewritten the story with their words, tried to bury it beneath distractions and false relationships, tried to hide from the parts of themselves that still cry out for your light, their spirit is haunted not by guilt, but by truth. The truth that you are not just a season or a phase, but a divine appointment sent to usher in their healing, their awakening, their transformation. And though they ran from the depth of that assignment, their dreams have become a temple where they cannot hide. And now, night after night, as the world grows quiet and the veil between realms thins, they find themselves walking through visions that feel more real than the life they've chosen, seeing you in sacred places, hearing your voice calling them to accountability, to remembrance, to repentance. And in these dreams, you are not angry. You are radiant, calm, a reflection of everything they forfeited. And it is that peace that torments them most, because while they have tried to move on, they're beginning to understand that peace cannot be faked, and what you carried was not just affection, it was anointing, and the soul remembers what the flesh tries to forget. And now that they have blocked you, they are forced to face the silence they created, but heaven has filled that silence with the sound of your spirit, echoing louder each day, manifesting in songs that randomly play, numbers that repeat, scents that arise in empty rooms, dreams that replay. With increasing clarity and moments of deja vu that leave them shaken, wondering if they are losing their mind. But it is not madness. It is memory, divine memory reactivated by spiritual urgency, because their soul knows that time is shifting, that doors are opening, and what was once delayed cannot be delayed much longer. And now they are on the edge of a spiritual precipice, torn between the illusion of control and the gravitational pull of destiny. And every night their spirit is summoned back to the place it once felt safe, to the home that was never made of walls but of your presence, your laughter, your prayers, your knowing glances. And their dreams are not just dreams anymore. They are callings, summons, divine alarms ringing through the corridors of their spirit, reminding them of what they thought they could forget. And even now, as you read this message, you may feel their presence, because they are thinking of you in ways they cannot verbalize, kneeling in prayer and whispering your name to the same heaven they once rejected, praying that somehow the damage can be undone, that somehow God would give them one more chance to make it right. And some nights they wake up crying, not because they miss you, but because they now see you, not just the version they blocked, but the truth of your being, the purpose you carried, the depth you offered, and the favor that followed you. And it terrifies them, because while you were vulnerable, they were guarded. While you gave your heart, they gave confusion. While you brought truth, they wore a mask. And now that mask is cracked, and their own reflection in the spiritual realm is too much to bear. And yet in these dreams, you remain graceful, forgiving, even loving, and it breaks them because you had every right to hate them, to curse them, to walk away bitter, but you chose silence not to punish, but to protect your peace. And in doing so, you became everything they now desire but feel unworthy to ask for. And I tell you, child, they're dreaming of your hands, not for touch, but for healing, for redemption, for the soft strength that once held their brokenness without judgment. And they're dreaming of places you never visited together, lives you never built, futures that only now they are brave enough to imagine. And while they live each day pretending to have moved on, inside they are unraveling. And heaven is allowing this unraveling not to shame them, but to awaken them, because this spiritual connection was never meant to be buried under blocked calls and unsent messages. It was meant to grow, to break strongholds, to birth purpose. And even now, I whisper this final truth to you. There's a divine reason you haven't forgotten them either. A reason your soul still reacts when their name is spoken, because what you shared wasn't finished. It was paused for spiritual preparation, and you have been growing into your calling, while they have been dreaming into theirs. And soon, very soon, a moment is coming, a divine alignment, where truth will no longer be able to hide behind pride, and the very one who blocked you will be compelled by forces greater than themselves to speak what their dreams have been shouting. And when that moment comes, You will know not by their words alone, but by the way your soul responds. And in that moment, heaven will confirm everything you felt but were told was foolish. And you will see that your pain had purpose, your patience had power, and your silence was your loudest victory. Because while they blocked you in the natural, heaven made sure your spirit was still unforgettable.